All right, let's get started. So I'm on X-Plane logged into PilotEdge. This is the Carinado Beach 58 Baron with Reality Expansion Pack. I'm parked at South Lake Tahoe Airport and near Lake Tahoe, California. The plan today is to fly to Mammoth Airport, and we're going to do so using the weather as of mid last November 2019, where there was like a storm, lots of low visibility. This is going to be a pretty challenging flight. We're going to surely encounter icing conditions. The Baron is certified for flight into known icing, fortunately, with the ice boots, but it's still going to be a very challenging flight. And we're going to do it using the obstacle departure procedure, and we're going to have to file a pretty crazy flight plan because of the Baron's altitude limitations without oxygen. So first things first, because of the low ceilings, I filed Reno as the alternate because Reno has an ILS that we can use. So had to put in a ton of gas. So we're going to stick in my pre-flight planning, which I'm not using historical weather, but my pre-flight planning says 77 gallons. So we're going to put in 80 gallons of gas. I got 3 people on board. And then because it's so cold out right now, the temperature is currently -4 degrees, so 25 degrees Fahrenheit. Because it's so cold out, we're using a winterization kit. Well, first of all, we're using SA 1030 in each engine. So we'll set 10 winter, 30 in each engine to give us better oil fluidity at cold weather. And secondly, we've got the preheater going. CHTs are now 48 degrees Fahrenheit. So we did the preheater, so we've heated up the CHTs and the oil as well. And we're mounting the winterization kit as well. All right, so with that done, we're ready to start. Now you can start an engine with the CHTs below 40. It's just not recommended because the oil will be congealed and it won't be able to lubricate the engine as it starts. And you can actually do significant amounts of wear. It's like starting the engine below 40 degrees is equivalent to putting it was 500 hours of time on the engine in terms of wear. So it's definitely not something you want to do if you can help it. All right. Let's get track air set up and let's get going. Oh, hold on, I forgot to plug it in. All right, it's attached. Let's turn it on. And looks like we need to restart X camera. So we'll disable it and re-enable it. There we go. Got all my views set up. And let's get the engine started. So working from the checklist, first of all, on the references page, we're going to use 20 degrees Lena peak at 23 inches, 2300 manifold pressure. So for the starting checklist, seat belts, parking brake is set. Avionics are all off. Landing gear handle is down. Cowl flap switches, we'll make sure they're open. Fuel selector, make sure they're both in the both position. All circuit breakers and electrical equipment are off. Battery on. And let's turn on the panel lights. And fuel quantity indicators, check quantity. Landing gear position lights, check. Emergency landing gear hand crank is stowed. Moving on now to the engine start. Just going to speed through this a bit. So we'll do mixture rich, throttle full, and then we did the boost pumps were on already, so I guess we just primed both engines. So we'll set the throttles to idle, and we'll get ready to start the left engine. Beacon on. There's the left engine. Oil pressure is coming up, and we'll retard to 1,000 RPM. And then turn on the left alternator and verify the load comes up. Repeat for the right engine. comes up, oil pressure comes up, 1000 RPM, right alternator on, avionics on, and then since we're at a high altitude airport, we're going to lean the mixture quite a bit, pretty much as far back as we can get it. All right, so now let's worry about, well, let's finish up the checklist. So avionics are on, exterior lights, we'll set the nav lights on, and then brakes, release and check. All right, so let's talk about the route now. So I'm going to bring up the Avi tab and we'll have that open. Let's get that ready. So, whoops, for airports, let's plug in KTVL, and we'll get the airport diagram up for that. And then Mammoth as well, KMMH. And we will get, we're going to fly the RNAV approach, so we'll get the RNAV approach up and the airport diagram up as well. And now we can close this and close this. Oops. And we have our charts ready to go. So here we are at Tahoe. And then we'll go get the maps ready too. So we should have L9. Whoops, it's GeoTIFF. So GeoTIFF, IFR low, en route L09. There we go. Okay, so let's talk about our routing. So basically, we're going to fly the obstacle departure procedure from Lake Tahoe. Now, the weather at Lake Tahoe right now, winds are currently 190 at 11, gusting 17, half-mile visibility and snow and freezing fog. So we're going to be using the boots on takeoff. Vertical visibility is 1,100 feet, is 110 feet. Temperature is -4, dew point's -6, altimeter is 2933. So we'll set that as well. All right, and let's get the pitot heat on right off the bat because we're in freezing fog. So the pitot heat on, we'll get the prop heat on and the boots on for takeoff. Okay, so looking at the airport diagram, we're parked here, so we're going to taxi to runway 18, and then we're going to fly the obstacle departure procedure off of 18. So that's a climb on heading 177 to 7,900 feet, then a climbing right turn to intercept and climb on Squaw Valley VOR 133 radial to Squaw Valley VOR, and then proceed on course. And then going to the map page, our course is going to be from, so here we are at South Lake Tahoe, so we're going to fly that departure procedure to Squaw Valley VOR. And from there, we're going to take Victor 494 through Vikes to Hazen VOR, and then from Hazen VOR, we're going to go to Chime intersection, and then from Chime intersection, we're going to follow Victor 105 down to Coaldale VOR, and from Coaldale VOR, we're going to fly Victor 244 to Nickel intersection, and at Nickel intersection, we're going to start the approach. So that's going to be our route. It's like an hour of flying for what would be 30 minutes direct, but it's what we need to do to avoid all these mountains. So we're kind of doing this roundabout flight to Mammoth, but it's what we got to do. So let's get this ready, and let's go back to the airport diagram, and let's get ready to taxi. So first of all, we've got the weather. We're going to taxi to runway 18. So let's stick the Lake Tahoe traffic frequency, 122.85, and get ready to taxi. So we'll get the taxi lights on since it's a little dark out, and we'll release the parking brake. Do a quick little brake check, looking good. Lake Tahoe traffic, Baron 171 Mike Alpha, taxi from the terminal to runway 18, Lake Tahoe. And so we'll just come right here, or sorry, come left here, and just work our way to Gulf. And we'll take Gulf taxiway to Alpha. Oh, and one thing I should do, just for realism, since I haven't done yet, is, oh, you can't even control these. Well, if you could control these, I would turn on the cabin heat and defrost. If this were an A2A aircraft, all that stuff would be simulated. And one other important thing I forgot to do before we taxi, I forgot to get our clearance. So let's do that. So let's set 122.2, which is the fake phone call frequency on PilotEdge, and get our clearance. So let me get a notepad ready to type down our clearance. And we're talking to Oakland Center. Oakland Center, Baron 171 Mike Alpha with Sulu at South Lake Tahoe, ready to copy IFR to Mammoth. Yep, everything's set.
171 Mike Alpha, Oakland Center, roger, are you on the ground at Lake Tahoe?
Affirmative, 171 Mike Alpha.
So 171 Mike Alpha, clear to Memphis Lake Airport, outbound, maintain 13,000, center frequency 132.2, squawk 3302, hold for release.
171 Mike Alpha cleared to Mammoth as filed. Maintain 13,000, frequency 132.2, squawk 3302.
Clear 1 Mike Alpha, read the correct advice.
We'll advise on Mike Alpha. Okay, so we've got our clearance and our squawk code. Now we can taxi. You can see snow drifts blowing over the taxiway. This is not a great day for a Baron to be flying, even a Fikey Baron. I would consider this to be a ill-advised flight at best. Let's just say our rich passengers are demanding skiers. We took them to South Lake overnight. They didn't like the conditions at South Lake. They want to go to Mammoth. So we're taking them on an early morning flight to Mammoth. All right, we're going to pull off to the side and do our run-up. Actually, since there's no one here, we'll just do the run-up this way. Now, normally you want to face into the wind when you do the run-up, but the temperature is so cold that I don't actually think it's a big deal. We can kind of face whatever direction we need. All right, so before takeoff, brakes set, seat belts, fuel boost pumps definitely off. Instruments, we're going to check all our flight instruments, airspeed, attitude, altimeter matches field elevation, and turn and bank, compass versus HSI, vertical speed. So the instruments all look good. Fuel indicator quantity looks good. Mixture full rich. We're going to not do that because we're at high altitude, so we're going to leave the mixture where it is. Starter lights off. Throttle's up to 2200 now. And once they're at 2200, we're going to adjust the mixture to find best power, and that's the mixture we'll use for takeoff. And then once we're established in the climb, we'll adjust the mixture again according to the checklist. So I'm going to reduce the mixture until the RPM starts falling off. There we go. Then I'm going to increase it again, and now we're more or less at best power. And so we can exercise our props now, starting with the left, manifold pressure and RPM needles, and then check the oil pressure needle. Looks good. No oil on the cowl. Now the right, manifold pressure and RPM needles. Then check the oil pressure needle. Looks good. And no oil on the cowl. And just because it's cold, we're going to exercise both of them one more time, just because it's cold. All right, down to 1700 RPM now. And there we'll do our prop check, or our mag checks, starting with the left. So taking a look at the EGTs and the RPM. Looks good. That was the left, now on to the right. And now for the right engine, we'll start with the left mag. EGTs aren't really moving, but that's not well simulated in an X-plane. Okay, down to 1500 RPM now. We'll feather the left, and then we'll feather the right. Okay, feather check's complete. Down to idle, we'll do an idle check now. Then back up to 1000 RPM. Electric trim check, we'll just zero it and make sure it works. And then flaps, we'll leave them up. Flight control check, we'll quickly do. And elevator trim is set for takeoff. Doors and windows, close and lock, park and brake off. We'll go to the climb checklist now. So these are the cruise climb fuel flow schedules we'll use once we're established in the cruise climb. And let's get ready for the departure now. So for the departure, for runway 18, we're going to climb heading 177. So we'll set that. Until we intercept Squaw Valley VOR 133 to Squaw Valley. So looking at the map, Squaw Valley VOR is 113.2, so we'll set that on nav 1. Verify the needles in VLOC, and then we'll set the course to the tail of the needle to 113 because we're going to go inbound on the 113 radial. Okay, so to review, climb heading 177 to 7,900 feet, then continue climbing in a right turn to intercept VOR radial 133, and then we take that all the way to Squaw Valley VOR. So, and then from there we're going to proceed on course. Let's get the flight plan set up in the GPS. So I'm going to primarily be using radio navigation until we fly the approach. So firstly, Squaw Valley is going to be our first fix. Come on, QRS. W. Squaw Valley. Now I don't think we can do I don't think we can do airways in this. Yeah, we can't do airways, so I'm just going to put in the first fix at which there's a bend in the airway, and that's a Vikes. So we'll stick in Vikes. Oops. And then chime is going to be our next turn. And then from there we follow Victor 105 down to Coaldale, OAL. And then from there we come left, or sorry, come right to Nickel intersection where we start the approach. And then to Mammoth, KMMH. And let's activate the leg from squad of Vikes, because that's likely what we're going to intercept once we get in radar contact. So we'll activate that leg, close the flight plan window here, cross-fill it here, bring up the map here, and we'll also use the AVI tab as well. All right. So to continue briefing, this is going to be a departure into freezing, fog, and snow, so we'll have prop heat and boots on for takeoff. We're going to rotate at 80 knots, be no flap takeoff, and then we'll start our climbing. We'll climb to 7,900 feet, then do our climbing right to intercept the VOR. We'll rotate at 80 knots, we'll climb at 120 knots, so let's set up the flight director in heading mode and vertical speed mode. We'll try for 1,000 feet per minute for starters and see what that gets us. And we were told to climb up to 13,000 feet, so we'll set that and arm it. And we are ready to go. Flight director is giving us guidance, and we're ready to take off. So let's get our clearance, and then we'll get the center frequency ready to go as well. Oh, and the departure frequency we were given is 132.2, so we'll get that plugged in. Actually, let's do that now. Let's 132.2. We'll stick that on standby comm 1, and we'll put 122.2 on active comm 2. That'll be our sort of phone call frequency, and then we'll switch over to comm 2. Oakland Center, Baron 171 Mike Alpha. We are ready for release at South Lake.
Number 172, Sierra Papa, roger. November 171 Mike Alpha, Oakland Center, released for departure. Clearance void if not off in 5 minutes. If not off in 5 minutes, advise intentions. This frequency, not later than 10 minutes. Change to advisory frequency approved.
171 Mike Alpha, release for departure, off by 5, advise in 10. And that's it. Okay, so let's go back here and we'll announce our takeoff. South Lake traffic, Baron 171 Mike Alpha, runway 18 for the obstacle departure procedure. So let's get the landing light on and the taxi light off, strobe light on. And let's get the prop heat on, stall warning heat on, and we'll get the boots on as well. And that's all the anti-ice we could possibly want for now. Oh, the fuel vent heat, probably a good idea as well. Okay, so we got all that on. Now we'll go mixture, flaps, lights, trim, transponder, doors, windows, pump, and timer. And we're ready to go. There's RPM, engine gauges, airspeed alive. I really hope the wings aren't iced up. We'll know shortly after takeoff if they are. There's 80. Rotate. That's positive rate. Gear up. Looks like the wings are fine, which is fortunate. And already right into the fog, so we'll hit the autopilot on nice and early. Now we're looking for 7,900 feet before we start that right turn. Feels terrifying knowing that you're going into a mountain, like right towards a mountain. All right, there's 6,900 feet. Let's reduce our vertical speed a bit because we're getting below blue line. Oh, no, never mind. Now we're getting above blue line again. Keeping the power full until we get clear of terrain, which we're not clear of terrain yet. And let's also switch frequencies.
Southwest 548, contact NorCal approach 121.3.
1213, Southwest 548, catch you later.
Oakland Center, Baron 171 Mike Alpha, 7.9 climbing via the obstacle departure procedure.
So that's 548, NorCal approach, thanks for Kilo, expect visual approach runway 30 right. Hurricane 291, expect visual approach runway 30 right. Hurricane correct, November 171 Mike Alpha, ident.
1 Mike Alpha.
Well, Mike Alpha, thanks for contact 3.5 miles south of Lake Tahoe Airport. Verify your present altitude, climb and maintain 13,000.
8,200, climbing 13,000, 171 Mike Alpha.
Oh, Mike Alpha, thanks. Jet 266, Roger, no traffic observed between you and the airport. Report for cancellation or missed approach in the air. This frequency are on the ground 122.2. Change to advisory frequency approved. Route 20 Papa, turn left, heading 340, descend and maintain 3,000.
Trying to keep this thing climbing.
621 heavy, descend and maintain flight level 240.
Descend and maintain 240, FedEx 621 heavy.
Gonna keep the power full because I don't think we can afford to reduce power right now. And I clicked off the autopilot because it was taking me towards a stall. Yep. I'm very much worried about... Oh, come on. Down you go. Down you go. Very much worried about ice on the wings. I wish I had some kind of visual indication. Because this thing is not performing as well as I'd hoped it would. Yeah, I think the wings are iced up because I'm losing airspeed and I can't even maintain a climb. So, I mean, the surface boots are on.
FedEx 621, clear direct jamming, join the Delta 5 arrival.
Yeah, the boots are on, we're losing airspeed.
Clear direct jamming, join the Delta 5 arrival, FedEx 621.
There's really nothing else we can do, so.
FedEx 621, not direct and jamming.
I think this flight is a bust.
Mike, November.
I may disconnect from PilotEdge because I don't think this is going to work. Yeah, 500 feet per minute, and we're already.
72 Sierra Papa, it's 6 miles from Ewok, turn right, heading 140.
All right, I disconnected from PilotEdge because at this point there's really nothing we can do because the wings are completely iced up. Yeah, we're about to crash. It looks like the boots aren't doing their job. And there's literally nothing else we can do, right? Let's see. Come on. Up, 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 up. Let's get it at VX. See if we can maintain level flight. Let's see if we can return to Lake Tahoe somehow. Let's do flight plan. Lake Tahoe. Direct to. No. Fly the plane first. And then proc. Select approach. It's got the approach for Mammoth. Oops. All right. Ugh, there's no easy way to load up an approach, is there? KTVL, enter. Approach. Let's just get the LDA loaded up at least, first of all. That's 108.9. We'll stick that on. Fly the plane. 108.9. Here, I'm going to switch to my instrument view so that the airplane doesn't shake around quite so much. All right, 108.9 is set. Oh God, please tell me it's active. If it's not active, we have a problem. All right, it's not active. We have a problem. So let's clear the flight plan. And then we have to stick in KTVL manually. Actually, first let's go back to Squaw Valley so we have some guidance. So we're not just flying around willy-nilly. Let's check the altitude at Squaw Valley as well. Looks like the terrain there is up to 9,000 feet. We're at 10,000 feet, so at least we got that going for us. So I think we'll be able to make it back if we can just get everything programmed in. Also, why is head shake active? Let me turn off head shake, because head shake should not fly the plane first. Head shake should not be active. Come on, fly the plane, turn right, go to Squaw Valley VOR. Okay, that's better. Whew, okay, now we can start working on Tahoe. Slowly, mostly focusing on flying the plane. Okay, there's 10,000. We'll level off at 10,000. Procedure, approach, RNAV 18. And let's get the RNAV up. Let's see what fix we want to start from. Let's start heading back to Squaw Valley VOR. Looks like Hetry is a good fix to start from. So we'll activate it. We're going direct to Hetry now, so let's set VLOC. Close the flight plan window, desired track 008. So let's turn 008. Set the desired track. Okay, we are back on track. We're going to be able to do this. And we have to be at 11,000 at Hetry. Oops. We have to be at 11,000 at Hetry, which I don't know if we're going to make that, but let's just try to get there reasonably quickly while climbing. Now the minimums for this approach are 6,680 feet. I don't think we're going to be able to make that, so we're just going to have to declare an emergency and descend below minimums because we don't have really any other option with all this ice on our wings. Let's keep coming right to intercept course 008. We're at 10.5, we need to be at 11. Maybe we can get a little bit more climb out of this. All right, good. There we are, we're at 11. Again, we have to do full power just to maintain altitude though. Come right to intercept the course. And then from Hetry, it's going to be a right turn 096 to Obave. I think we can finally maybe come back on the power now. Let's come back to 2,500 RPM. Turn off the boost pumps for now. Let's keep coming left, don't overshoot the course. Okay, looks good. Intercepting the course, 3.5 miles to Hetry, and then a right turn 096 to Obave. And then from there we can probably just, don't descend, come on. From there we can probably just arm approach. So flight director in nav mode. There we go. And there's 11,000. We're looking good. All right, right turn to Obave now. Course 096. And for Obave, we can go down. No, we stay at 11,000 for Obave. Okay, after Obey, we can go down to 9300 for Jezzy, which is our final approach fix. And let's go back to the track air view so we're ready to see the airport when it gets there. All right, we're looking good. This is going to be a no-flap landing because of the icing. We're going to leave the power in, and we're not going to lower the gear until landing is more or less assured. And we should be prepared to descend below minimums if necessary and just try to make the best of the approach that we can. And the lesson here is you can't take a Baron into this kind of ice, even with a Fikey. Like, it's certified up to moderate ice with the boots, and this is clearly much more than moderate ice. Like, the boots seem to be, I mean, I wish I could see the ice build up, but just based on the airspeed, the boots seem to be more or less, at least not making things worse, just kind of fighting things pretty well right now. All right, desired track 175 now. Let's turn to 175 and go down to 9300. So yeah, start reducing power. So yeah, the boots seem to be at least doing a fighting chance, but you know, in cruise we should not be doing so little, like 140 knots, and in climb we definitely shouldn't be stalling out at VY. Alright, there's 10,000. Just verify landing lights are on. Turn the boost pumps back on. Not sure why the flight director isn't having me intercept the course. But in fact, not sure where the flight director is taking me. But let's intercept the course first and foremost. And let's arm approach. Okay, approach is armed. All right, there's 93. Let's slow down to the gear speed and we'll hold it there. We got LP plus V enunciated. Come on, stay above 93 until we get past Jezzy. Up you go. Up, up, up. Come on, up you go. Okay, now we can't even hold altitude. Let's go prop full. All right, there's 9,300. Looks like the icing is just much worse down low. We're going to start our descent soon. All right, approach and glide slope are active, so we can just start following the flight director, set the course to 172. Yeah, let's just start following the flight director. We're going to delay the gear extension as long as possible. Let's close this too. Now airport elevation is 6,300 feet, so we're going to try to go down to 6,300 feet on the LP. Right, that's 8,300, 2,000 above. I may honestly crash, just by the way. It's not like I'm not putting this on just to seem dramatic. I haven't done this before. I may honestly crash. This is an LP approach, not an LPV. And it's because I think the final approach course doesn't quite line up with the runway. And with visibility the way it is, we may not see the runway in time. So this may be impossible. We will see. I'll do my best. Also, I think we can lower the gear now because I can get below the gear speed. Let's keep the power full because that's going to kill a lot of our airspeed. At 73, we're 1,000 above. Got full power now. Speed's decreasing in the descent. All right, that's 500 above. $400 above. $300 above. $200 above. There's the airport. Let's keep the power in. We've got the director lights, I've got the edge row bars, and I've got the PAPIs. I've got the runway. Come on. I'm landing with full power, literally full power is in. Okay, power out, and let's take it to a stop. All right, well, we survived, which is freaking fantastic. That was a full power, no flap landing, and I could barely keep the thing from stalling with full back pressure, which just goes to show how dangerous icing is. I really wish I could see the ice build up on the boots. Anyway, now that we're on the ground, we can turn all of this stuff off. And I could turn off the boost pumps as well. And let's take it back to the terminal with the tail between our legs. We are not going to Mammoth today. All right, taxi light on. Landing lights off, strobes off. Oh, come on, a little slippery on the ice here. Now let's just park it in the terminal and then run a quick debrief. All right. Avionics, alternators, mixture, mags, lights, and battery. And the airplane is sliding. Okay, so that obviously didn't go as intended. I knew there was going to be a lot of ice, but I kind of figured that, you know, maybe it was moderate ice and the Baron, the anti-ice systems of the Baron would be able to handle it. I was pretty wrong about that. Just judging by the climb performance, it's clear that there was pretty severe ice down low. It's amazing we were able to climb it all. As we got closer to 11,000 feet, the Baron was able to climb more. I was able to climb at about 120 knots, which is pretty much the minimum practical climb speed. Hold on, let me set the chocks or something. Is there a way to set chocks on this? Yeah, there is. There we go. Okay, so like I said, the Baron was climbing better above about 10,000 feet, but by then I had already committed to return to the airport. So, I mean, maybe we could have continued the flight and very slowly gotten up to 13,000 feet, but there was no guarantee that we would have been able to get above, you know, there was no guarantee that we would have been able to stay above 13,000 feet. In real life, obviously, you would have pre-flighted the icing conditions, but since this is historical weather from last November, I don't really have access to icing condition reports from that far back. So I just kind of like rolled the dice. Anyway, that dice roll did not pan out. It was definitely craps. So by 8 or 9,000 feet, I committed to return. Now, that ended up being a pretty huge problem in and of itself because I was unable to, first of all, the LDA seems to be off for X-Plane. And I don't know if that's a disabled downwind ILS setting or something, but this is the second time in X-Plane where I have been unable to receive either an ILS or a localizer. And I'm going to have to look into that. But anyway, was not able to receive the LDA. That would have been the easiest thing because you don't actually have to go through the trouble of loading an approach. You just have to have the chart up. Because of that, then I had to clear the flight plan, create a new flight plan that was direct to Tahoe, and then load the RNAV. And that was a ton of work to do while bouncing around in the sky and trying to make sure I wasn't losing altitude and crashing into terrain. Frankly, it's a miracle that we didn't hit anything, especially considering how much of the flight was done without positive guidance. Like we were still trying to establish on the radial, or we were kind of just making our way to Squaw Valley at some arbitrary radial, so there was really no positive guidance. So frankly, it was a miracle that we didn't hit anything. I was able to get the approach loaded. I think for the future, for iffy flights like this, since we've got the two GPSs, might be a good idea to load your primary flight plan into GPS 1 and load a takeoff alternate into GPS 2. So basically just a very simple approach back to the airport so you can just quickly swap over to GPS 2 if you need to. You can even cross-fill the flight back to GPS 1 if you make the decision to go home. So that's kind of a technique. That's a procedure I'm going to adopt in the future for any flight plan where it's not basically all but guaranteed that we'll be continuing, like in severe clear weather with no threats. In this case, it would have been a great idea to have an alternate flight plan in GPS 2 that we could have switched to if we needed to return to the airport. Would have saved me a lot of trouble loading the approach. Anyway, got the approach loaded, got the flight director on, and flew the LPV to the airport, or the LP to the airport. We got LP plus V guidance, which means we got a virtual glide slope that we could follow, but it wasn't, you know, regulatory. It's just something that the airplane adds for your convenience. And taking a look at the RNAV, minimums for the approach are 400 feet above field elevation. We saw the airport at, I think it was it 200 or 300 feet above, so we did bust the minimums. And I mean, we certainly busted the minimums because it's 3 miles visibility, and I think we had about a half mile of visibility. Fortunately, we had enough visibility for me to see the Malzer, and that was good enough for me. And I followed the Malzer in until I could see the Pappy, and then I followed the Pappy and the Malzer in to the runway. It was full power on landing, so we needed every inch of power we could get. But we survived, which is frankly amazing, and this is a great learning experience. I'll try to do the flight to Mammoth with maybe a little less intense weather some other time, but for now, it's lunchtime. Thank you guys for joining. I hope you learned something on this flight. Sorry it didn't go as planned, but it was exciting nonetheless. Have a great lunch, and I'll see you guys later.